I just sent Sage an email or a message on IRC to see if he's able to make it. All right, well, maybe we should just get started. So let's see. It's been a couple of weeks. We had all hands meeting last week, and then before that, the 4th of July. So there's a little more to go through than normal, but not too bad. Let's see. Adam has 3 new PRs recently for his sharding work, so that's really exciting. I have not gotten a chance to look those over yet, but I'm hoping to at some point here, since we'll need to integrate my my double caching PR with it, or at least get my stuff working on top of it. Oh, hey, Sage. I just started going over the PRs, but didn't get very far. So if you want to jump in, you can.
All right. Bad. Carded Blue Store. I haven't looked at those yet.
There's a lot there.
Yeah. Looks like Eco's reviewing the migration one from Adam. I haven't looked at that one yet either. This RocksDB update, I did run that through QA and it wrote, oh, that's what it was. I had that in my pull request and that's what made zlib the thing not compile. So it's some build issue with RocksDB. That's why I could, yeah. I remember I saw it and it went away. That's what it was. There's something wrong with that PR.
When this happened earlier with Hifu, it was like due to some kind of cache or something. We had to clear out.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, this was a Jenkins build, so be clean.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a RocksDB link order. I don't know, something. There's something annoying.
Yeah.
Figure it out. I didn't try reproducing it locally, so I don't really know. Let's see, this one from Igor is a good step in the right direction. I think we're going to try to make the hints more explicit. Yeah. But overall, that's quite promising. And then I haven't looked at your last one here about the app tracker. Either.
Yeah, Patrick and I were kind of going back and forth on it because he didn't like kind of reverting the MDS back to its kind of older state using const_car star rather than string view. So the issue, right, is that when you use string view, you end up creating a string always inside the event, and
I thought string view was basically just a strongly typed const_car star. But that was
sort of. You don't get the null terminator on the end, so you can't like quickly go back to const_car star. But the way that we're using it, we're passing a string view and then we're making a copy into a string.
Oh.
Inside event. That's how we use it.
That's the problem. So it's not the const_car star or the string view part, because the string view implementation is typically a pointer and a size. So the string view isn't a copy.
Yeah, I don't think though that we can just store a reference or a pointer to the data inside the string view inside event. I don't know that we can.
That's the design. Right, you can only pass in things that are stable. So like with the const_car thing, that was pretty obvious because you're passing a const_car, so it has to remain valid over the lifetime of the operation.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking we just store
the whole point.
So we just store the length and the pointer to the data.
No, I'm saying the whole point is that we don't want to make a copy.
Yes.
And whether it's const_car or string view is totally irrelevant because they're the same thing.
So,
They're a pointer or a pointer with the size, but either way, there's no copy. So
mhm.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the whole discussion, but I
Okay.
think that what the goal should be is to not make a copy, but
Yes.
the, that's unrelated to string view, right?
I have to go back and look when I was reading through all of this. I thought there were subtle issues around string view and keeping, well, okay, so I guess the question is then with our interface when we pass in like a variable string, right? If
Yeah.
we're in some places we do
String
that.
view, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, where are we? Where is that living? Where
It
does
has
that
to
data live
be,
and for what
it has to
lifetime?
be a string that is stable, either like literally a constant string, which is why const char was nice because you could just do quote foo in the code and it
Mm-hmm.
would be in the text section or whatever of the binary,
Yep.
or some other string. If it's dynamic, it has to be stable. It has to
Yeah,
actually.
and right now we pass in just like in some places we pass in like a temporary that we create, right?
Yeah, so that's probably, I don't know when it got changed so that it was making a copy, but that's that's the part that we need to fix.
We always had a second string. Well, I don't know if we always did, but we for a long time we've had a separate string version that we had separate from the const char star version, right? And then that's when we created a local string inside event, but
Oh,
we
so it's
only
always
did
done
it
that?
if you passed it in. Yeah, but it was like a second interface that we only use sometimes, and we didn't use it in like a real hot path
Oh, I see.
scenario.
Okay.
And
I,
Patrick wanted to combine those all into one thing to make the interface really clean and always use string view.
okay.
Problem is
Okay.
that
I
when
think
we
that's
do
the
it that
problem.
way,
I think
yeah,
that needs to be separate because we want the optimization so that in the common path we don't make a copy. So
yes,
probably just like add event or add event underscore dynamic or something, whatever it is. We can just have different, we name them different,
yeah,
same types.
yeah. So the kind of the idea here would be maybe you have a static event label and then you have a description that you add, and that can be dynamic or something like that.
Or that, yeah, something like that.
I mean, right now, are we using the dynamic piece for anything? I thought at least the OSD parts were all static.
No, we do. We
USDs,
use it.
yeah, I think that changed a while back because it was always like waiting on the up, but you didn't know which OSD it was, so it actually
So
was
the
dynamic.
description is dynamic, but not the state names are still static, right?
I
No,
don't remember the
we
state name.
actually.
No?
The,
Okay, well, maybe we
well,
should fix that.
well, it depends on what you mean by state name. If you mean the event name, then it's dynamic. If you mean like the state in the OSD, I don't know.
It seems like we could have it, yeah, oh, I don't know. Maybe we could make something more static there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of it's a little gross, honestly.
yep.
um, the other thing that this does is it implements like sort of a semi-lockless, I'll say, data structure for the event, holding the events. So it's lockless up until you have a certain number, and then it reverts to vector behavior with locks.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
good enough. It almost never
Yeah.
actually uses the vector.
Yeah. Fine. But yeah, it sounds like we need to do like a larger review of what the interface should look like to handle the dynamic events, and also
Yeah,
avoid copies in the general case where they're not dynamic.
yeah. I think I would very much be in favor of just not having dynamic events and just having dynamic information that's passed in
I think that would be
sometimes.
fine too. Yeah. Yep. And that way it's optional. Yeah. That's probably simpler than having two variants of the same thing. Have something that's always a fixed string and one thing that's optional in a copy. Okay. This RocksDB compactions. What did it used to be? When it's set.
1.
Excuse me. Okay.
And we were lucky it was, because there were some bugs in RocksDB that made it sound like we could have hit corruption if we had 2 enabled or more enabled in previous versions. So
We had it
our
set to like
procrastin-
8 for file store for a long time.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe they're rare, right?
Yeah.
But we have had weird issues with people hitting corruption in RocksDB that we never figured out. So
That could be.
Yeah, could be one of the things possibly. Nautilus, we should be okay, and Master, obviously, we should be okay. So we could backport that to Nautilus, I think.
Yeah, that's
So
just a little bit.
yeah,
Pressing, right?
I definitely. Yeah, let it sit in Master for a little while, and then it's easy to backport, right? It's simple, so we can do it anytime before we need it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. It's Crimson PR. I don't know anything about that. Removing indirection layers and shard it up.
Yeah, it just fell off by Stalebot.
I think. I wanted to wait until after. Oh, the big refactor. Info. This is so old. Like a year and a half old. So it predates the refactor and all the PG merging stuff. It never got redone on top of that. I don't know. Maybe this is worth doing again, but I don't know how much. We should probably ask. I don't remember how much benefit you guys saw from this. See if it's worthwhile. Might not be worth it.
I
Anyway,
see some lock
okay.
contention in the sharded up work queue, which if that's happening inside the lock, it might help a little.
Yeah. It's much better than it used to be. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Turning off the app tracker by default. I think consensus is mostly not to do that, although users can always do it if they want. Make it. Blue Store cache refactor. Have you figured out what was causing those crashes yet?
It was so Kifu's crash was easy. That was just a stupid bug that was easy to fix. The bigger one that I have not figured out yet is the some of the PGs during recovery were getting marked what was it, active and undersized, right? Oversized? I don't remember. I gotta look at it again. But they were, so for some reason this PR was causing weird recovery states for the PGs. So I don't know why. I need to figure out how to reproduce it consistently. I've done it once locally, but yeah.
Okay.
The PR before I made the changes for Igor, some of the stuff that he asked for, didn't do it. When we ran it through QA, it was passing then. So I think it's something related to some of the updates I made. I'm just not. I've looked it over and I don't really understand why any of those would cause it, but I'll poke at it some more.
Okay. All right. Objection thing. I don't actually know this. I got it's a million commits. Just the boost ASIO stuff.
Yeah,
Okay. Be satisfying when this finally merges.
I think he's getting closer. Casey was reviewing it, and they were sending it through QA and stuff.
Okay.
Yep, I believe that it's passing tests. He's starting to look at performance. I think he found one issue that he's been looking into.
Cool. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's see. There's MDS auto tuning in progress. There's the sync fairness. Like this thing from Roman is not dead after all. Greg's reviewing it. Looks like they're talking about it. I don't know if there's any code update. Anyway, okay. Beef makes progress. All right. I don't know if there's anything else here is of note yet. Yep. All right, should we go to the discussion topics?
Yeah.
Really want to enable delete range.
Yep, that's what I was just gonna ask you about, Sage. Just what do you think about enabling it in master? Once
I
we get
saw
the
it in
version
I
update.
saw like a write-up in like, I don't know, it came in my Google News feed about how delete range was now like a primitive in RocksDB. So I don't know. It sounds like if they support it now, we definitely want to turn it on because it helps a lot.
Yep.
A lot of these cases we've seen where we see like mammoth BlueFS reads and writes are because somebody does a delete on something that has a bazillion OMAP entries, and so it creates this mammoth transaction that like deletes individual records. And OSD times out, and BlueFS gets all pissed off and whatever. Delete range avoids all that. So we just need to fix the build thing with zlib, I guess.
Yep. I'll work with Kifu on that and figure out
I would actually check what version of RocksDB we ended up with in Nautilus and see if delete range is supported in that, or if it's not until something after that.
It was made
Comes
stable
after.
in this release, the one that
Okay.
we're trying to upgrade to.
All right. We might consider. Do we have a 6.1 something? Like, is it a minor update? Because it would be nice if we could get this backported into Nautilus, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Here, let me make sure
Ways
that
to
statement was
this.
true, right?
Okay. Well, let's figure out what's the Nautilus when delete range is officially stable, and if it's a small delta, it'd be really nice to not worry about this one.
I think Nautilus were on like 5.17.2, if I remember right. And delete range is no longer marked experimental in 5.18.0. Okay, so that was when they added it to make it.
That's a small jump, right?
Yeah, I mean it's one major, right? But there's a lot of other fixes in 6, and all these different versions of 6 that we may want.
Yeah. Well, let's get it into master first, and if it's okay after a month or something, we can put it. Maybe hopefully we can put it in the next Nautilus point release.
Yeah, I think it as long as we can get some testing under our belt and master with it, I think I would be in favor of that.
I wonder, should we figure out what version we want to put in Nautilus and put that in master so that that's what we test? Because I wonder if we want 6 something or if we want the oldest 5.19 or whatever. There's if there are any major changes, then we might want to be a little bit more conservative.
Sure.
Or not. Maybe we just want the best. I don't know.
Yeah. So let me see when some of these like data corruption issues get fixed. Those are whenever I see that, I'm like,
yeah, that's the most important thing.
So in 6.1.2, there was a range tombstone. Oh, here, I'll just link the releases so that people can read it. There's in 6.1.1, there was a bug fix where you could lose a transaction with a certain sequence of operations. And then, yeah, 6.0.0 had a deadlock fix, a memory leak fix, a corruption fix, lock-free multi-get.
These multi-get.
What was that, Sage?
I don't know how much we use multi-get.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if we're using it or not.
Go check. We might be. Yeah. Probably. Blue Store. Oh, okay. You can do that. Review offline probably. I'm looking at this performance results spreadsheet. Whoops, for the compaction threads.
Yeah.
But the blue and red chart is 2 cores versus all cores, and that's not. Oh, sorry. XX. Doesn't look like going from 1 to 2 compaction threads changes that much.
It should change things substantially in the OMAP test, but not in the others.
OMAP. There we go. Map detailed. Oh. Okay. I see. So the test time goes way down basically in these scatter plots. Is that right?
Yeah, yep, test time goes down. The per compaction time can go up because now you can have overlapping compactions. So each individual compaction event can take longer if it's overlapping with another one, but the actual client side, like max latency goes down because you're not causing kind of like hierarchical stalling chains as much.
Okay.
Having too many compaction threads, especially with limited numbers of cores, is not good. So I think conservatively increasing it to 2 is probably what we want to do. And we may want to revisit this with the sharding work that M's doing, but
it seems like going to 2 gets most of the benefit anyway. Going from 2 to 3 or 4 is just only tiny.
Yep.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay. All right. Charting.
Yeah, Adam's not here, I don't think, is he? I don't see him. So we're working on figuring out how we're gonna layer my Blue Store, or sorry, the O node double caching fix on top of his stuff right now, and then include the conversion that we'll need in his conversion tools. Since we need to convert for sharding anyway, then we can also convert into the separate column family layout that I'm introducing there for O node versus other stuff.
What does it do? It just puts O nodes in a separate column family.
Yep. So the idea is that you put it in a separate column family and then you assign a separate cache block cache in RocksDB for that column family. And then we can independently have that particular block cache be independently throttled or not throttled, but sized with a priority cache versus the rest of the block cache.
I'm surprised we didn't already do that. OMAP is a column family, PG meta is a column family, and deferred IO. Okay, but we didn't. OMAP wasn't.
And we don't turn it on, and we don't separate out the. By default, we don't turn it on, and then we also don't separate out the block cache based on it.
So you're just adding O equals to that config option to create a CF, basically.
Yeah, more or less. But in the sharded world, what we'll need to do is a little different, right? Because we don't want like an explosion of column families, so we almost certainly don't want to create lots of per shard column families. So my guess is we'll probably just want to have O node separate and everything else be in the shards column family, and then we'll have like 2 column families per shard. Is I'm guessing kind of what we'll probably want. And we have hopefully 2 caches.
I mean, the column families let you separate out cache priority, right? And so the ones right now are for OMAP, which I think makes sense. That should be at a different service tier or whatever than the internal metadata for BlueStore. And the other one is the PG meta OMAP. So the PG log OMAP should probably be treated differently than the regular user OMAP.
Sure.
And then the other one is deferred writes. I mean, it seems like sharding is going to be orthogonal.
Too many shards can so I'm trying to remember how it works, but when you have like for every single column family, when it goes into the write ahead log, I think as soon as you how does it work? The more column families you have, the more it affects how flushing in the write ahead log works. Like you end up
with more level 1 or sorry, level 0 files that you have to write out.
Yeah, and I think we have to be careful about what we do here.
But so Adam's sharding is using column families, right?
Yes.
So there's presumably we can adjust how many shards per family we want.
Yeah.
So in that case, we might have, right, okay. I think I know what you're talking about then. Okay, so then for deferred IO, we only need 1 shard, probably, for example, but for something like nodes, maybe we want 4 shards, or for OMAP, we want whatever. I don't know, we can adjust.
Yeah, we got to figure out how all this is going to work with, Yeah.
Okay.
Mark, I guess the bottleneck you were saying before was the block contention when you have like hundreds or thousands of column families. So we just want to make sure we keep below that.
Yeah. Yep, there's that issue, and then there's also the effect it has on how flushing happens from the write ahead log. And I need to review that because I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it does have an effect when you have lots of column families.
Okay.
Okay.
We talked about the op tracker a little bit already, but one thing I did want to mention is there does seem to be some overhead related to the way that our like queue that we have there works. We like do this kind of crazy thing where I think we have an internal and external queue, and then we'll put stuff on one and then periodically we'll move it into the other to avoid like having work in the internal queue blocking for the external one. But we still have a lot of work that's being done there, it looks like to me. I wonder a little bit if we could replace all of that with some kind of like fast lock-free queue implementation, which I happen to have a link for one. That's pre-made. which claims to be extremely fast.
Knock your socks off. Blazing fast performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, simpler is better too if we can like avoid some of the weirdness there too. I would focus on the first part though first, because that's an interface question around the dynamic strings. That's probably a pretty low-hanging fruit or whatever.
Sage, when you were talking about Majian Peng's proposal to disable it, what was your comment on that? Were you in favor of it or not?
I don't have a strong opinion actually either way, but I think Josh and Neha preferred to leave it on by default for diagnostic purposes. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think once we have like tracing fully integrated into the OSD, I think that's a good candidate for replacing OpTracker and having much lower overhead.
Yeah. I think the nice thing about the OpTracker is that it's always on, and it gives you like in a production environment, it gives you diagnostic information like when the problem happens. It tells you exactly where and how it was blocked. And I'm not sure if tracing can do that unless you're tracing all the time.
Well, that's the idea. You can turn on tracing or sampling at a relatively safe rate to enable it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I mean, even if you're sampling though, that's not gonna, like if you have one request that gets stuck, you want the health report, whatever, warning to like tell you what it is. Sampling wouldn't give you that either.
Yeah, but we could have the health warning be separate from the OpTracker stuff. We wouldn't need all the infrastructure from the OpTracker that slows things down today for the warning.
Yep.
So right now, I think Majian Peng, I'm trying to remember, I can look at the PR, but I think he saw something like a 25% performance difference or roughly something in that vicinity. As we keep making things faster, that's just going to get worse, right? Like we can make the OpTracker faster, we can make it good, but it's gonna.
I think I mean that's true. For Crimson, I think the assumption was that there's going to be a totally different approach to the OpTracker.
Yeah, I think he was already started working on something that's tracking what each IO is blocked on.
Any kind of approach that looks at every single op though is gonna not work in the long run, right?
I mean, it depends on how it's implemented, I guess, but possibly.
Well, if you're going like for super low latency, I don't see how we can do like per op tracking fast enough. Maybe we could. I don't know. It seems like it'd be really hard.
Yeah, I agree. We just need to talk to Kifu about this.
Oh, Kifu just joined. Hey, Kifu. Are you here?
Hi, guys.
We're talking about OpTracker, and in Crimson, can we do something like OpTracker fast enough that it won't slow performance down?
Probably, but why is the Crimson different from the clusters D in this perspective? Because we don't need to apply the locks. That what
So I just linked Majian Peng did some tests, and he said that the OpTracker for random writes was slowing it down. Both of them is actually like 50%. It's very high in his test. And so the current OpTracker is bad for both. But I guess the question is, if we did something in Crimson, could we do it much faster or not?
Probably, but just by looking at Jianpeng's report, I have no idea if we can do something different because there's no macro benchmarking in his comment, right? We need to provide it to figure out
I
where
did do
where
that,
CPU
Kifu.
cycle. We did, right? Okay.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
I did more focused on wall clock than CPU profiling, but it tells you probably at least some of what you need to know. Let me pull up my PR.
And like we were talking about a minute ago, might not even need to be tracking at this fine-grained level of every single request. If we have tracing to be able to diagnose problems at a larger scale that are happening continuously, and a separate implementation of the warning about individual slow ops.
Yes, I think another way to address is to just to sample the operations instead of profiling all of them or track all of them.
Yeah. And Sage brought up the point that then we might miss stuff, right? If we're just sampling. But, I don't know how we can do everything. I don't know how we can look at every single op and do it fast enough.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think for most of these problems, it's not just like a single op that's slow. It's usually a bunch of things that are affected by the same thing. So when you're sampling, you should expect to observe one of them. And if not, you can increase the sampling rate.
Should we consider adding sampling to the op tracker?
I'd rather just get tracing in there and use the
Okay.
existing things that do sampling.
Yep. Okay. Does it make sense to do stuff to the op tracker if we're just going to try to head that direction anyway? Like, maybe, should we just kind of shore it up as
I think
easily
so.
as possible? And
I think we should fix the obvious things like the string hopping, for example.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can make simple fixes like that, but I wouldn't want to rewrite it entirely at this point. Anyway.
Sure. The queue I'm actually kind of curious about, primarily from the standpoint that if we find a fast lock free queue that works for this, it might be worth actually taking that and using it in some other places too, like the shard upwork queue. But we can see.
Yeah, might be interesting just to have a quick benchmark to see what it does.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think that's it. We've gone through everything. So, anyone have any other things that they want to talk about this week?
Not this week, but maybe next week. If we can get Sam here, he's been adding some tracing to Blue Store and help investigate the QS stuff, and found some interesting stuff with time being spent more in the allocator and more variance coming from that than from RocksDB, which was not what we expected at all. So
Which allocator?
Some more. The Blue Store allocator.
Okay.
So I'll probably have some more to report on that next week.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. Cool. Well,
Mark, Kifu, since you guys are both here, just wanted to check. Do we want to quickly discuss the CBT Jenkins integration stuff that we spoke about earlier this week, and what the next steps are for that?
We need to schedule another meeting. Hopefully, we can have a Fredo.
No, I agree. There are some questions that came up after the first meeting, and I'm wondering if want to just narrow down on some answers and start working on something immediately.
Yeah, I don't think we, Alfredo or David had been convinced that the the right route is to run the test on both tests on Jenkins. And
I think Alfredo very much would like to stick to Jenkins from what I've talked to him so far, but
he wanted to post the test result to Grafana, right? And I think that's
yeah,
a very nice feature to visualize
but
the
we
test.
can just export them though. That should be pretty easy, I think.
I agree. Yes, I think the first step is to run the test on Jenkins.
Yeah. There is one blocker that we have right now that we should maybe we could talk quickly about here. CentOS 8 is not out yet, and I was under the impression that's what we were gonna install on these things. So what should we what does Crimson need? Can we do it on CentOS 7, or do we have to do it on something more recent?
I think what we need is the whatever the mainstream in next year or 1.5 year next year. So real 8 is the future, and for that we can wait like half a month. I think it should be ready by the end of this month, right? If everything goes fine. I was checking that web page. Things they are moving very fast.
Yeah, there was a status update earlier this month, or maybe late last month, where they said that they're still on track to be done in a month or two. So it could be as early as a couple of weeks, or it could be like another month. I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I tried to check the real 7 or Windows 7 schedule, but I can't find it. So I cannot find a baseline. No idea when it will be released.
So I mean, David's ready whenever we're ready to tell him what to put on it. So whenever we make a decision what we want to do, we can relay that to him.
But another way is to use the latest LTS of Ubuntu. How about that?
Fine with me.
Yeah, because I think it's not that bad in comparison to Real 8. I'm also fine with it.
Yeah, it's mostly a question of what you need for Crimson to build. I don't know if there are any requirements.
Either way, as long as we can the latest toolchain and the kernel. Ideally, I want to have a like kernel 5.1 and the toolchain of like GCC 9.1. That would be that would be enough, I think.
Okay, so
the different library support. I think both
sure.
of them have that.
Okay, so do you want them to put like Ubuntu, like, was it 18 on there? That's the latest LTS, right?
1804 something.
Yeah, 04.2. That looks like the most recent version, maybe.
I will ping David over the IRC regarding to this.
Okay. Cool. Then he can get that on Inserta 08, and then you guys will have something that you can start out with. And Radic already has something that can use Jenkins, right? Or they can have Jenkins run CBT?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Sounds good.
Oh, another interesting thing I want to raise is that I have a PR to replace the mutex with the Ceph mutex, because the difference is that in non-bug mode, the Ceph mutex is just an alias of a mutex in standard library, so no overhead for tracking the Selenic dependency or something, or the backtrace. So it could be an improvement in performance.
Okay. Have you done any tests to see if that changes anything?
I just finished all the changes today, so I will do some benchmarking tomorrow because there's
Okay.
a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be a big PR. Holy smokes. Wow.
Sorry, I tuned out for a second. This mutex patch is almost ready, right? We're just waiting on a final conversion or something in CephFS from Patrick. Is that right?
Yes, and we need a lot of review, and me also. I need to review it to make sure I use using all of them in the right way.
Should we just break this up into pieces? Because like all the manager, monitor, whatever, all that stuff should be ready to go, right?
And we need to ideally we need to break it into smaller pieces
Yeah.
in different PR by component. But
Perfect. Yeah.
the the pain point is that the condition, the Ceph condition, I replace the parameter type from mutex, capital mutex with Ceph mutex, and we use Ceph condition everywhere. So if we want to replace the mutex with Ceph mutex, we need to
Yes.
do it in the older one because all of the place we use with Ceph condition and the
Condition
timer
variable, yeah.
also. Yes, it's we need
Right.
to turn the switch at the time. So I prefer do it this way, even I don't want to. Apparently, actually, none of the commits are self-contained. I just split them into smaller commits so it will be easier for
I
owners
see.
to use them.
Okay. So this is both changing the conda variables too. Okay. And it's changing the timer all in one go.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we just need to wait for Patrick and then we can do one big file. Okay. Sounds good. Yep, this will be nice. Finally kill the old thing. All right.
All right.
Anything else?
Well, don't think so.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day, guys.
Thanks. See you.
Have a good day. Yeah.
Thanks.